Well, first of all, thanks very much to Malvern Books for having me. It's truly an honor to be here. And thanks to all of you for coming. I think I know at least half of you. To be precise, probably I know 3/4 of you. And also to Rob Reynolds for sharing the stage. Where to begin? Where to begin? Begin at the beginning, the king said very gravely, and go on to the end, then stop. Anybody know where that comes from? I'll give you a plug nickel. Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. So I won't read on to the end, but I will begin to the beginning. Everything. The hot wind roaring in the open windows, and the tires whining over the asphalt, and that big screen panorama unfolding before his eyes, that vast ochre desert scattered with cactus and scrub brush, adobe, cinder block, and weathered wood and tin shacks and cantinas, cattle skulls, rattlesnakes coiled like poisonous ropes, scorpion tails crackling like tiny electric cattle prods, and above it all the sun burning in the thin blue sky like an acetylene torch, the sun flaring up in a million billion grains of sand, the sun the way he'd never conceived of the sun before. It all came out of Margarito's mouth, out of Margarito's voice, out of that hot lava flow of language, that cornucopia of papayas and guavas, pistoleros, caballeros, serapes, senoritas, and sombreros, out of which he struggled to pick words, phrases, to penetrate that other tongue by constantly nagging, cajoling, and demanding of Margarito. How do you say ice? How do you say snow? How do you say it's so fucking cold I'm freezing my balls off? Watching Margarito's lips move beneath his shiny black mustache as if he were pronouncing secret incantations that unlocked the doors of ancient mysteries, then attempting to reproduce those magical utterances himself until sound and meaning fused in tiny detonations of comprehension. Of course, hielo, nieve, hace un frío de puta madre, se me están helando los huevos. And then the confirmation, Margarito's face glowing like a terracotta sunburst of surprise and delight. Tu sabes, Snowman. You said it right. If all teachers were as good as Margarito, if all teachers were captive, held prisoner, imprisoned by poverty, fear, the color of their skin, the foreignness of their tongue, desperate to survive in a hostile environment where every word, every gesture betrays you as alien, where you can never just walk into a convenience store or fast food joint and ask for a pack of cigarettes or a hamburger, because when you try to speak, all that comes out are these horrible noises. You have to contort your face. You have to gesticulate and wave your hands around like a raving lunatic to get your message across. It's like communicating from behind the plate glass window of another dimension. Worse, the other customers are staring at you, at your funny looking clothes. You're funny looking. Your face, your features, hammered and molded out of bronze, out of copper and terracotta. And on top of that, you have this crazy snowman digging into your brain in search of words, thoughts, secrets. And in exchange, you get nothing. Nobody's teaching you anything. You can't put a crowbar to a snowman's skull and pry out the words, knowledge, the key to this mystery of cold and snow, El Norte. This book actually has 2 beginnings, and this is the second one. Now what the hell was he doing, getting lost in the goddamn desert? Whose bright idea was that? Boone's, most likely. That evil genius, hurling his thunderbolts from the clouds, writing wrong turns and non-existent road signs into the script, and scattering obstacles in his path like thumbtacks. And then he realized, did he, poor snowman, he was mindlessly trudging back into the cactus and scrub on a sandy, rocky path littered with sun-scorched cans and bottles, plastic bags, wads of toilet paper smeared with tarry black shit, human shit, like desiccated carnations from a long-ago wedding party. His boots jingled like harness bells on a plodding draft horse. Blinding white patches of caliche flared up in the graphite glare of his sunglasses. Rivulets of sweat streamed down his face and soaked the synth fur lining of his parka. Spectral waves of heat rose around him, flooding his nostrils and all the bony and cartilaginous cavities of his skull with a rancid, choking smell of death. He scanned the fire-blackened pile of garbage in front of him, simultaneously expecting to see and hoping not to see the decomposing carcass of some large animal, bovine, porcine, or hominine, bloated body split open like a rotting sofa, the fetid stew of internal organs boiling with maggots. His perfectly normal mind at work, replaying a hit parade of all the lurid tabloid covers he'd perused and the clinical fluorescence of convenience store checkouts at 2, 3, 4 a.m. Rape, murder, unspeakable acts of depravity, the worst nightmares of a well-fed society dumped on a simple refuse heap and makeshift rest stop. He peeled open his parka, unzipped his pants, dug through sweat-sodden thermal underwear to cotton jockey shorts, untucked, and released a toxic yellow stream that splashed on the ground, partially collapsing the earthworks of an abandoned anthill. Bladder deflating, abdominal muscles sagging gratefully, eyes raised to some unspecified deity, he stared at the black specks drifting in lazy circles high overhead, retinal fragments of last night and all the other nights, dislodged by alternating bursts of caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, and various other stimulants and depressants, ingested more or less in an assembly line continuum throughout his waking hours. He took off his sunglasses, wiped the sweat from his eyes in an odd kind of camera close-up. They looked like pale blue patches of Arctic sea ice, skimmed with frost and frighteningly bloodshot. The black specks were still there, wheeling and turning in the thin blue atmosphere. Buzzards. In his mind, he saw a man spread-eagled on the ground, naked, his hands and feet staked, writhing against the blistering sun, against insect bites, cigarette burns, knife wounds, nearly mad with pain and helplessness. Not that he really expected to end his life here in the desert, a piece of jerked meat waiting for the ants and coyotes to pick him apart and haul him off. All he had to do was shake, tuck away, re-zip and velcro ties, and tramp back through the cactus and scrub to the coop, crouched on the side of the road like a big black cat, and pull onto the highway in a cloud of yellow dust. And then it's like he never stopped, like he's been driving forever. This book is a lot about snow. Snow plays a lot in this book, so I'm going to read a little bit about snow. There's a reference in here to meth. Meth is the snowman's cat, though there are resonances of that illegal drug. And still as snow fell, meteorologists blamed El Nino, changes in ocean currents, solar flares, low pressure cells, and high pressure sails. Snowflakes as big as pillows fell from the sky, enormous mattress-sized blobs of snow, roofs of houses, high schools, churches, civic centers, old folks' homes, shopping centers and fire stations collapsed beneath the crushing weight. Radio and cell towers, light and power poles, billboards and signs over megastores toppled over. The ghostly white globes of the famous Moonlight Towers, 165-foot tall ironwork structures erected in the 1880s to illuminate the growing city, hovered inches above the snow like alien spacecraft. Cars disappeared beneath the snow like deep-six bathyspheres, their aquarium windows like peep show stereopticons into dark shadowy interiors where silvered buttons and knobs and glass dials and gauges brooded in undersea quiescence, sometimes a body, a face, a mask of asphyxiated bewilderment, or even miraculously the whole city listening with bated breath, a survivor, someone found alive. The sirens were going all the time, EMS, police, fire department, dog catchers. Then even they fell silent. The streets were impassable. Nobody could get to work except by giant earth-moving machines. You'd see 150 people in business suits and overcoats, packed shoulder to shoulder, standing room only, in the enormous orange dump bed. Finally, even management realized the absurdity of sending crews out to make snow, and the remaining skeleton crews were furloughed until further notice. The city was paralyzed. People could do nothing but sit at home in front of the TV, taunted by the familiar message constantly looping at the bottom of the screen. An informed people is a warned people. Remember, stay warm, stay informed. Stiff upper lip, the gov says. We don't need no stinking help from the feds. Then there were blackouts. The grid went down. The power out for days. Gas shut off as a safety measure. People relied on what resources they had. The more fortunate fired up emergency generators. The Snowman had never used a tiny fireplace. He could only hope it didn't burn the house down. A stack of cordwood had sat rotting on the side of the house ever since he moved in. He'd stare into the flames, getting pleasantly drunk and stoned, while the storm howled outside, rattling windows and sending icy drafts blowing through the cracks. When the fire died down, he'd haul himself up from the couch and put on more wood. Then he ran on firewood, inspired by drink. He smashed a wooden chair to pieces in the kitchen, splinters flying everywhere, big gashes in the linoleum floor, plenty of wood to burn, and meth. He ripped molding from the baseboards and ceiling. Time to get started on that remodeling project. No, Snowman? Arbeit macht warm. Nicht wahr, meine Herren? He's shouting out loud, roaring with laughter at his own stupid jokes. Gasping for breath, he collapses on the sofa in front of the fire. A persisting churring sound draws his eyes to a tiny creature on the hearth. It's a cricket, and not only a cricket, but a cricket in top hat, tuxedo, and tails playing a fiddle. And now it's singing in the most amazing golden voice, a classic Sid Nate tune. When you wish upon a starfish. What's up with that, right? It occurs to him that it might be some kind of electronic eavesdropping device, one of those insect bots intelligence agencies are using now, or even scarier roboticized insects, rigged up in tiny headgear, transponders, cameras, electronic signals coming from the void, telling which muscle to do what. Left foot forward, right foot forward, left, right, marching to the tune of a different drummer, aren't we, boys? Because of course, the government's going to be interested in you, right, Snowman? All those vital secrets harbored in your bank vault brain. More likely it's his, shall we say, vivid imagination, a wrong turn on the pharmaceutical highway, his mind racing the speed of molasses out there in the Dalkey hinterlands of sanity. But now the fire has burned down again. Nothing left but cold ashes. He's hunched up like a troll in the dark caverns of his thoughts, his arms wrapped around himself for warmth, slipping in and out of stuporous fragments of consciousness and dream. Through a muffled gray light, he can see around him things, or the skeletons of things, great creatures, rusty cars, machines, factories, rivers turned into icy blue serpents, everything frozen into stillness and silence beneath the snow, the entire planet become a frozen white marble, like the eye of a dead fish floating in the black ocean of space. The scene changes, and he's lying in a four-poster canopy bed next to Ebenezer Scrooge. Or no, he has actually become Ebenezer Scrooge. And now this ghastly monstrosity has entered his bed chamber and stands before him, rattling its chains and stinking of rotten plum pudding, pine leaves, and the grave. He hears himself beg, "Please, Spirit, are these things that have come to pass, or presentiments of that which is yet to come?" And a choir of angels sang, "Wonderful and magnificent." How do you say snowbound, snowblind, snow loco, stir crazy, cabin fever? Thank you.